Hey everyone, I am pro nature photographer Ian Plant, and in this video, I'm going to talk about color grading and more specifically, color theory as it applies to photography. Now, what exactly is color grading? So, color grading is the process of changing the overall color tone or color balance of an image by adjusting the white balance or adjusting the hue, saturation, and luminosity values of specific colors. This is a creative process that allows you to achieve a specific mood or artistic look for your photos. And color grading begins when you choose your scene or subject when you're taking the photo. And this process continues in the digital darkroom, where you can adjust color values to achieve a desired look. And so this is a good example of that. This is a photo I made in an ancient rock-hewn church in Ethiopia, and this priest was reading his Bible by candlelight in the dark. And so when I took this photo, I knew that the candlelight was going to illuminate the priest and the scene in this golden light. And later on, when I was adjusting the image in the digital darkroom, I made sure to select a white balance that would preserve that golden candlelight color. And so I was thinking about color grading when I took the photo. And then when I was in the digital darkroom, I applied the settings that would achieve that desired look. Now, the key to successful color grading is understanding basic color theory. And so that's what I'm really going to focus on in this video. So it all starts with something known as the color wheel. And the color wheel shows all of the visible colors that humans can perceive, and it puts them on a wheel. Pretty self-explanatory. And so this color wheel becomes important when we think about the three basic color schemes that are used by artists. And the first is monochrome, the second is called analogous, and the third is called complementary. And so monochrome uses varying tints, shades, or tones of the same basic hue. So in this example, I'm pointing to magenta. So a monochrome image would have varying shades of that basic magenta color and nothing else in the image. And so here are a few examples of where I used a monochrome color scheme. So this is a photo I took in White Sands National Monument in New Mexico, and I made this photo early in the morning during twilight. And so the scene was dominated by twilight blues, and the white sands were reflecting that color that was in the sky. And so there's no other color in this composition other than blue, just varying shades and hues of that same basic blue color. So this is a monochrome color scheme. And here is another example on the flip side. Instead of cool tones, this is dominated by warm tones. So this is a scene from Kenya, and this lion was illuminated by the rising sun. And most of the tones in this image are that same basic warm golden tone. And so a few of you might notice that this photo isn't purely monochrome. There are some other tones in there other than that basic yellow that is making up that golden sunrise light. For example, there are some green bushes in the savanna behind the lion. Now, those greens aren't very strong. They're desaturated. They sort of blend in with the warmer tones. And so overall, more or less, this has a monochromatic color scheme. The next color scheme that's used by artists is called analogous. And analogous color schemes use colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And so in this example, an analogous color scheme would include magenta, red, and blue. But it could also be magenta, red, and yellow, or yellow, green, and cyan, and so on. And here are a few examples where I used an analogous color scheme. So this is a photo I made in Indonesia. This is a sulfur miner on the Ijen volcano. And when I saw this particular miner with his bright yellow shirt, I knew I had a really good photo because I could create that analogous color scheme. So his shirt is very close in tonality to the sulfur rocks that he's mining. And the yellows are analogous to the greens that are otherwise present in the scene, and also the red tones that make up his skin color, the woven basket, and his camouflage pants. Now, the reds here are registering as more brown, but that red, yellow, green color arrangement is a really nice example of an analogous color scheme. And here's another example. This is an underwater photo I took photographing off the coast of Baja California in Mexico. And this is a pod of false killer whales passing underneath me in shallow water. And so there was this really nice mix of green, cyan, and blue, once again, all analogous colors. And so these analogous color schemes have a lot of color harmony and tend to have a nice, pleasing, tranquil mood. And so this is a final example of an analogous color scheme. This is a polar bear in the Alaskan Arctic. And I photographed this while the bear was backlit by the setting sun. And so you can see there's a nice red, orange, yellow transition here. Those are all colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel, hence an analogous color scheme. And finally, there's a color scheme known as complementary. And complementary color schemes use colors that are on opposite sides of the color wheel. And so there are three primary complementary color sets. The first one is shown here, which is magenta versus green. The second one is blue versus yellow. And by the way, magenta versus green or blue versus yellow are the slider options you have when you're adjusting your white balance in Adobe Lightroom or Camera Raw. And then there's a third primary complementary color set, which is red versus cyan. And so here is an example of a complementary color scheme in a photograph. Took this photo in Death Valley during a sandstorm. And so you've got some golden light at sunset on the dunes, and that's juxtaposed with the cooler blue tones of the stormy sky above. And something similar here, this was taken in the high altitude desert of Argentina. And this feature is known as the Arita cone. It's an ancient volcano. And so the cone's native color is brown, and it's got some golden sunrise light on it. And so that golden color is juxtaposed with the deep blue formed by the shadow coming off the backside of the cone. And so this composition is a study of the simple shapes that are further clarified by that contrast in complementary colors. Now, there's really no need to maintain perfect fidelity to these three color schemes, and there's certainly no need to walk around with a color wheel. I think it's easier to simplify your understanding of the color wheel and to think of things in terms of warm versus cool. And so here I've broken up the color wheel into those two different color contrasts. And so the warm tones are predominantly red, orange, and yellow, while the cooler tones, or at least the tones that I think of as being cooler, range from magenta to blue to cyan to green. And so when I'm making photos or adjusting them in the digital darkroom, instead of thinking of a monochrome versus analogous versus a complementary color scheme, I just think of this warm, cool dichotomy. And so then it doesn't really matter whether the color scheme you've applied is strictly monochrome versus analogous, or whether it's analogous versus complementary. Instead, I just think of this very simplified warm, cool dichotomy. So here's an example where I used a cool color tone. And so once again, this is a photo of a polar bear in the Alaskan Arctic. And when I selected a white balance for this image, I selected one that was on the cool side. And so this gives the image a very monochromatic look, a cool monochromatic look. Now, it's not purely monochromatic. There is some yellow in the bear, though once again, it's rather muted. So whether this is actually a monochrome color scheme versus a complementary color scheme doesn't really matter. Overall, the image renders as fairly cool. And images with a cool color balance tend to be a little bit more tranquil, maybe a bit more forlorn. They might trigger a feeling of nostalgia or sadness. And so you can use a cooler color balance to tell a story. And the story I was trying to tell here was how bleak the environment that this bear lives in. And so the cooler tone was appropriate for telling that story. And this is on the other side. This is an example of an image with a warm color tone. And this is a drone photo I took of a volcano in Iceland that was erupting. And once again, just thinking of this simply as having a warm color tone avoids an internal debate about whether this is truly monochromatic or whether this is an analogous color scheme. You can just put all that aside and think about this as having overall a warm color balance or a warm tone. And warm images tend to be a bit more visually energetic. They tend to stand out and get noticed more by the viewer. And so once again, you can use warmth to effectively tell a story. But often I prefer to juxtapose cool and warm in the same image to create that visually dynamic complementary color scheme. And so this is the same volcano. This time I flew my drone over the crater rim and looked straight down into the lava lake. And I made this photo at twilight. So there was a lot of twilight blue on the landscape around the volcano. And then you've got that contrasting with the reds, oranges, and yellows of the lava that's bubbling up in the crater rim. And this creates a really nice complementary color scheme. So I'm juxtaposing those color opposites. And whether that blue tone is exactly opposite any of the colors of the lava doesn't really matter. I've got that warm, cool dichotomy creating that complementary color scheme. And same thing with this photo of orangutans in Sumatra in Indonesia. The warm reddish orange tone of the fur contrasts really nicely with the cooler greens of the surrounding rainforest. And this is an aerial photo I took with my drone in Utah showing a bend of the river. And so this image is dominated mostly by warm tones. So for example, you've got that really warm sunset light on the canyon walls, and then you've got the yellow glow of the flare of the sun in the distance. But the color of the river down below, that green cyan color, brings in some cool tones, creating that complementary color scheme. So that's just making the image a bit more vibrant and more dynamic. And whenever you've got a complementary color scheme, whenever you've got these color opposites, it's just going to create more visual energy in your composition. It's something that the viewer is going to notice, and it's going to make each color seem more vibrant. And here's another example. This was taken in Namibia, and this is a flamingo. And there were these sand dunes in the background that were catching some golden light. And then you've got the deep blue of the water. So it's creating this really nice, warm, cool color contrast. Really makes those colors seem to pop out, stand out a lot more, even though they're not really intensely saturated. And here's another example. This was taken in the desert of Nevada. And so I've got this yellow sandstone mound that was catching some sunrise light that's reflected in this puddle of water. And I've got the warm reds of the sandstone, and those are being juxtaposed with the cooler tones, those purple and blues in the shadows. So once again, a really nice complementary color scheme. It really makes those individual colors just seem so much stronger and more vibrant. Another way to think about your colors is muted or desaturated versus vibrant or saturated. And so when I'm making my color grading decisions, I'll often think about whether I want to really make the colors stand out and be very strong and vibrant and noticeable for the viewer, or whether I'd rather go for a softer, maybe more pastel, muted color scheme. And so here is an example from the famous Deadfly area of the Namibian desert. And I've got these really colorful sand dunes in the background, and that color is juxtaposed against the cool whites of the clay pan down below. And so when I was processing this image, I opted to increase the saturation of the oranges to create a vibrant color scheme, to add more visual energy, and to really make those colors pop. With this photo of a mountain gorilla in Rwanda, I went the other way. I intentionally desaturated the colors to create a more muted color scheme. And here's another example of a vibrant color scheme. This was a slot canyon that I photographed in the desert of Arizona, and it was flooded. And so I had all this warm, colorful, reflected light glowing on the canyon walls. And I created a complementary color scheme by selecting a composition that included the reflection of the blue sky above. And so I opted for a more saturated look to make that complementary color scheme look all the more vibrant. But you don't always have to go for a vibrant look when you're working with complementary colors. Here's a counterexample that I took in the Big Cypress Bayou of East Texas. And I made this photo of the bayou during peak autumn color in the morning twilight on a foggy morning. And so when I processed this image, I cooled down the white balance to preserve those twilight blues. And I went for a very ethereal, soft contrast look. And I also resisted the temptation to add a lot of color saturation to the colors in this image. Instead, I went for a more muted look. But because of that complementary color scheme, because I've got those contrasting warm and cool tones, even though the overall color palette here is muted, the colors still seem to pop out. They still seem more vibrant than the actual color saturation would imply. And so that's one of the benefits of a complementary color scheme. Even when you're working with muted colors, those complementary colors, those color opposites, are going to make each other seem a bit more vibrant. They're really going to stand out a lot more, and they're going to have an impact on the viewer. And so when you are in Adobe Lightroom or Camera Raw, you've got several tools that are available to you that allow you to adjust the color profile of your images. You can start off with profile, or you can go in to the presets, and profiles and presets will give you a number of off-the-shelf options for adjusting contrast and color in your image. Or you can create a custom color look for your images by going into the color panel, which allows you to adjust the white balance of the image as well as the vibrance and saturation. Or you can go into the curve panel, which is typically used for luminosity adjustment, but there are also some options for making color adjustments. Next up is the color mixer, which is a powerful tool that allows you to adjust the hue, saturation, or the luminance of individual color channels. So you can target your adjustments to these specific color channels. And then there's the color grading panel, which allows you to split tone the image. which means that you can assign different color values separately to the highlights, the shadows, and or the midtones. And then finally, there is the calibration panel, which gives you a few more options for adjusting the saturation and the hue of the colors in your image. So whenever you are taking photos or working on your raw files in the digital darkroom, think about how you can apply color theory to give your images impact. And when you're color grading your photos in the darkroom, resist the temptation to boost colors to the max. Instead, by smartly applying the lessons of color theory, you can more subtly enhance colors and still get a powerful reaction from viewers. With color grading, you'll often find that less is more, and that nimble and subtle color adjustments will typically do a better job than simply beating people over the head with lots and lots of color saturation. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. I'm Ian Plant, wishing you good luck and great light. See you again next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.